Hey guys, so we're going to be talking about simple interest. Now, this is a topic that's going to be relevant to everybody because it deals with money. And we will all eventually be dealing with money in our lives. Now, we might not be dealing with $1,000,000 in $20 bills, but we're going to be dealing with money nonetheless. So, this is a very important topic for us to understand. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, guys, what is interest? Essentially, it's the cost of borrowing money. And so you can either be borrowing it from somebody or somebody else can be borrowing it from you. And interest is very important because it's going to be the closest thing we're going to have to a money printing machine. Because we can't just print money in our house. Our money can make money for us. That's what interest is. So that's why it's very important. But it can also cost us a lot of money. So we need to make sure we understand it. So, like I said, some interest makes you money, some interest costs you money. It's a good thing, guys, when you are the lender. So when you're sending out your money, when you're giving the money to somebody, your interest is going to make you money. But it's not such a good thing when you're the borrower. When someone's lending you money, it's going to cost you guys some money. So let's go ahead and take a look at some common examples. And the first example we're going to look at is a savings account. Now, that's a good thing. And so if we look at the situation right here, this young man, Drake, this young rapper, he's going to be a responsible young rapper. And he has $100,000. He's not going to go make it rain. What he's going to do instead is he's going to put it to a savings account in a bank. Okay, so Drake has this $100,000 right here. And he is going to take that and he is going to deposit it into the bank. In turn, he is lending it to the bank. So when the money's in the bank will do bank things with it. It'll lend it out to other people. It'll invest. It'll do all kinds of stuff. But it is borrowing the money from Drake. Now, he can get it back whenever he wants to. So when Drake goes to the bank and he decides to get his money back, he will get back more than $100,000 if he pulls it all out. Because as his money is sitting in the bank, it is gaining interest. And that's basically the bank's way of saying thanks for having your money with us. Thanks for lending us your cash. The higher percentage of an interest rate that he gets, the more interest he will get when he pulls it out. Okay? So to make the numbers simple, if in a year from now, and this bank was offering him a 1% interest rate, okay? If he pulls the money out a year from now and he didn't touch it, he will be getting $101,000 back from the bank. And I guess he doesn't actually have to pull the money out, but that will be the value in his account. So that 100,000 turned into 101,000. So he has made $1,000, and that is our interest. So that's a good thing. Some other examples where interest is going to make you money are savings accounts, checking accounts, certificates of deposit, and that's where you tell the bank you're going to go ahead and put money in the bank for a certain amount of time. You can't access that money. It's a given amount of time that it has to be in the bank for. And then bonds, which you're loaning the government money. Now, as we said, banks or loans, interest can also be a bad thing. Okay? It can cost you money. And one specific example might be a car loan. So if we look at this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Tesla Cybertruck right here, if we want to purchase that, we might not have the cash just to purchase it all on the spot. So we have to take out a loan, a car loan. And let's pretend again that Drake wants to purchase this Cybertruck for $80,000, but he doesn't have the cash. But who does? The bank. So what he's going to do is he's going to go to the bank and he's going to ask for a loan. They are going to go ahead and give him that loan of $80,000 if he's approved. And then eventually over time, he's going to give that money back to the bank plus the interest percentage, plus a certain percent of interest, whether that may be. So he's going to end up paying the bank back more than $80,000. So that's not a good thing. Some other common examples where interest might cost you money would be credit cards. So when I'm paying with credit cards, I'm actually using the bank's money to pay for things. Now, there are rewards and stuff that credit cards, there are benefits for credit cards. But if you can't pay off the credit card, the interest can cost you money. Okay? Any personal loans or student loans that I'm paying for college will have interest that I will have to pay more than I'm borrowing. And as we saw, same thing with car loans and mortgages. Although mortgages is a loan in order to pay for your house because houses are expensive. So let's actually talk about the math in this. Now this is my formula for simple interest. I have I equals P times R times T. So guys, on this I, and for interest. Okay, that's the amount of interest we're going to be solving for. P is the principal, R is the rate, and then T is the term. Okay. Now the principal, guys, that is normally going to be the amount of money that either you borrowed or that you're giving somebody. That's my original amount. Okay. The rate is normally given to me in a percentage. And I got to make sure that I take that percentage and convert it to a decimal. And the term has to be, is the amount of time that the loan will be out. That has to be in years. Sometimes they give that to me in months, so I just have to make sure that I convert that in years. So we need to make sure that we are converting or able to convert percentages into decimals. And so this is going to be a 6th grade thing, but this is necessary to use in our simple interest formula. So in order to turn a percent to a decimal, you're going to divide each of those percents by 100. So you're going to do your part over whole, part over whole, part over whole, and part over whole. Now when I divide 8 by 100, I will see that I will get 0.08. Now your 6th grade teacher might have told you to quote unquote Dr. Pepper, and what they do by that, I've heard that term many times. Okay, it's your decimals at the end. You take it and you move it once, twice to the left, and that's when your decimal goes, and then you fill it in right there, so you get the same thing of 0.08. But it's going to be the same thing as dividing by 100. That's the mathematical reason why you're Dr. Peppering, if you will, or moving it 2 times to the left. So if we do 11 divided by 100, that is 0.11. 2.5 divided by 100 is going to give me 0.025. And 34 divided by 100 is 0.34. So we have to make sure our percents are converted to decimals. We also have to make sure that our term is in years. Now, a lot of times it will be in years, but sometimes it gives it to us in months. So we know there are 12 months in a year, so in order to figure out how many years this is, we're going to take that and divide it by 12. And so if you're given the months, just simply divide each by 12 in order to figure out how many years that is. So 24 divided by 12, 2 years. 108 divided by 12, 9 years. 33 divided by 12, 2.75 years. And 54 divided by 12, 4.5 years. That looks like 45 years. Be real careful with all that. 4.5 years. All right, so let's take a look at what our problems might look like. Now we can think of these real world scenario problems because you might encounter these. So here we have Drake again, and he's receiving his $100,000. Probably wondering where he got that $100,000 from. Well, he's gonna have, apparently he got it from YouTube for all the views he's getting from his In My Feelings dance. Oh man, that's crazy. He's gonna take this deposit into a savings account. He's gonna put it into the bank that receives simple interest at a rate of 5%. How much does that earn after 6 years? All right, so let's go ahead and see what we have here. So I have the principal. P stands for principal. That's my original amount that I'm depositing. In this case, it's $100,000. Okay, I have the R, which is my interest rate. What percentage are we going at? It's 5%. And last but not least, T, the term. That is the time that my interest is going on. And that's for 6 years. So now let's start taking each of our values and plugging them into the equation. So I do not know my interest. That's what I'm solving for. So let's leave that as my unknown variable. So interest equals the P, the principal. It's going to be 100,000. I'm going to color code this. Sorry for the handwriting, guys, but that is 100,000. Times the R, the rate. Remember, that's a percent, so I'm going to take that and divide it by 100. It's going to give me 0.05. Does that put in those parentheses right there? Show that I'm multiplying. Times the term. And we have to make sure that's in years, and it is. So I can just plug in the 6. So if I multiply 100,000 times 0.05 times 6, I get an interest, or I solve for I, of $30,000. And that's a good thing for Drake. His $100,000 made $30,000. The bank said, thank you so much for having all your money with us for those 6 years. Thanks for letting us do bank things. Here's an extra $30,000. It grew that over time. So that is an example of interest making money. So let's move on to the next one. And we see again that Drake has, oh my gosh, it looks like this is the same exact question. Hold on. So Drake has $100,000. This one, Drake has, okay, 5%. On this one, it's also 5%. 6 years. But this is different. And we see that it's different because it's asking a different question. Now, on the previous statement, this was asking how much interest do I earn? And I solved and it gave me $30,000. Now, if we look at this one carefully, it's not asking for the interest, but it's looking for the value of the savings account. Now, I can do all the math all over again, right? I can go ahead and type in, or I can go ahead and plug in all of my numbers, my $100,000 times the rate, which is 0.05, times the term, which was 6. That's going to give me $30,000, which is what I got in the last problem. That's not what this is looking for. It's not looking for the interest. It's looking for the value of the account. So guys, as we said, this is good interest, right? He's made money on this. And so to figure out the value of the account, if he made money, that's going to be added to his initial amount. So he has his $100,000, and we have to make sure we're adding that $30,000 in interest that he has made. So then at the end of 6 years, the value of his account is $130,000. Okay? And that's going to be the solution to this problem right here. It's the same math behind it. We're just asking a different thing. So the value of that savings account is $130,000. All right, last example. You guys are well on your way to being mega millionaires, understand how money works and how interest works, how that can be a good thing. So let's go ahead and let's look at Drake. And again, remember, he's pulling out his loan to purchase a Tesla Cybertruck. Man, that's such a beautiful car. So if he paid $11,200 in simple interest over 42 months, what is his interest rate? So we're going to use the same formula because this is simple interest. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's figure out what we know. So we have my interest rate on here. So I'm solving for interest, and this problem I do know what the interest rate is, or that's not the interest rate, that's the interest. Okay, it's $11,200. Okay, the P still stands for principal, which is the initial amount. In this case, it's a loan of $80,000. The rate, it looks like we don't know the rate. So that's what we're trying to figure out in this one. We're trying to solve for that. And then the T, which is my term, is 42 months. So let's plug in the numbers that we know to solve for what we don't know. The interest, or I, is 11,200. Let me erase that real quick. Color code this. The interest in this is 11,200. So 11,200 equals the principal. The initial amount of the loan, which for Drake, he took out a full $80,000 for that beautiful, beautiful Cybertruck, times the rate, the interest rate. We don't know what the interest rate was. That's what we're trying to figure out. And then also times the term. And so that term is 42 months. We got to make sure we're putting that into years. So we're going to divide 42 by 12, and that's going to give me 3.5. So 80,000 times 3.5 times the interest rate. And that's our value that we do not know yet. So times the interest rate. And we're going to call that our variable R. So now we have an equation that we're going to be solving. So let's go ahead and let's rock and roll through this and solve it just like we normally do. So 11,200 equals 80,000 times 3.5. And 80,000 times 3.5 is 280,000. I know these are big numbers, but that's okay. Dealing with Drake's money here, not Mr. Tapner's money. All right, so you have 11,200 equals 280,000 R. And this is a one-step equation, guys. So we have to get rid of this 280,000. So instead of multiplying by 280,000, we're going to divide each side by 280,000. And divide each side by 280,000. That's going to cancel out right there. And I'm left with whatever 11,200 divided by 280,000 is, which is 0.04. And that right there is the rate of interest. Now, if I want that as a percentage, I'm going to multiply by 100 or move the decimal to the right 2 times, and I get 4%. That is my interest rate. Once, twice. So Drake is paying 4% interest on this one. The lower interest rate he's paying, the better, because that means he's going to be paying less money back. So in conclusion, guys, I hope we learned a few things. I hope we learned that interest can be a good thing or a bad thing. Interest can make you money or it can cost you money. We also learned to solve the formula I equals P times R times T, where I is the interest, P is the principal, the initial amount, R is the rate. Make sure that I get rid of the percent on that one by dividing by 100. And T is the term, and that must be in years. And we also learned that Mr. Tapner probably needs to invest in a stylus because it is really, really hard to write with a mouse. I hope you guys are doing okay. Get your IXL assignments done for this week. You have 2 of them. One is converting decimals, and the other is working on your simple interest formula. Bye, guys. Take care.